Yeah, but on this lesson, this is our lesson number 4. Today we will discuss about some misunderstanding about the meaning of riba and the extent of its prohibition. So these misunderstandings we find West economists, Western economists. First misunderstanding is that some Western economists argue that the interest charged by the traditional banks is not riba. The interest charged by commercial banks, traditional banks, is not riba. That is referred in Quran and Sunnah as haram. While interest that is not mentioned in Quran and Sunnah should be halal. So interest is different and riba is a different thing. Riba is banned by Quran and Sunnah in Islam, and interest is not banned in Quran and Sunnah. This is the first misunderstanding from Western economists. The second misunderstanding from the Western economists is that the practical form of riba in the time of Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, was only usury. Was only usury. Usury means excessive form of interest. Excessive form of interest. They said when the practical form of riba implemented in the period of Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, was usually when then we should not extend the prohibition to the present day banking interest. In other words, we should not extend, we should not declare present day banking interest as haram, because usually is haram, interest is not haram, keeping in view the practical form of riba. This is the second argument that is misunderstanding from the Western economists. Okay, but the third misunderstanding from the Western social economists is that only compound interest is prohibited, not simple interest. Only compound interest is prohibited, not simple interest, because historically they find some examples of compound interest in Islamic history, in Islam. The fourth misunderstanding is that commercial interest is acceptable. Commercial interest is acceptable because it is for profitable purposes. when it is for profitable purposes, it is it should be halal. Okay. Okay, beta. These four misunderstandings we observe, we learned from Western economists. We got from Western economists. Now we are going to reply to these misunderstandings. The firstly, we start with the reply above with the deep discussion of interest. To reply these questions, we should understand the real meaning of riba and the extent of riba. We must understand the real meaning of riba in Arabic and the extent of riba. Literally, in Arabic, the meaning of riba is excess, increase, or addition. It means कि रिबा के मीनिंग क्या है? किसी भी चीज में ज्यादती को हम रिबा बोलते हैं. Linguistically, Arab use this word to denote the increase in a loan contract in exchange for time. और अरब रिबा का वर्ड उस वक्त यूज करते थे जब लोन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में टाइम के अगेंस्ट लोन में उनको कुछ इजाफा मिलता था, लोन लेने के बाद मिलता था, या लोन पर वो एक्स्ट्रा पेमेंट करते थे. तो जब एक्स्ट्रा पेमेंट लोन पे उनको करना पड़ती थी या वो रिसीव करते थे, उस वक्त बोलते थे वो रिबा का वर्ड. Okay, finally, we are going to the definition of riba. That is mentioned in Sharia. Riba exists in a loan contract. Riba exists in a loan contract where lenders charges an additional amount on the principal amount. रिबा उस वक्त एग्जिस्ट करता है बेटा जब लोन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, जब आप फाइनेंशियल एसेट्स लोन लेते हो बैंक से, जब लेंडर्स यानी बैंक्स प्रिंसिपल अमाउंट पे 10%, 12% एक्स्ट्रा अमाउंट चार्ज करते हैं. That is riba in Sharia, in loan contract. But in an exchange contract, where commodities are exchanged at unequal counter values. Exchange contract में जब two similar commodities unequal values के साथ exchange करते हैं, जैसा कि हदीस पाक में mentioned है, exchange of gold, silver, and salt, and 5 items are mentioned in hadith. So keeping in view of hadith, in Sharia, it was disclosed that the exchange of commodities with similar commodities at unequal counter value is riba. So first, this is the second type of riba. It is called riba ul fadl. Riba ul fadl. The first type of riba is riba ul siya. So in Sharia, two types of riba are discussed. The first is riba unsiyah. The second is riba al-fadl. Both types are combined in this definition. It is clear? Hopefully, I am sure it will be clear. Riba. Okay, next we are going to other evidence about the riba, about the riba explanations. Riba has 73 different forms which were discussed in these as Ibn Majah, 73 forms are existing, are reported in different Islamic books. Ibn Majah reported 73 forms of riba. Now we are going to final answer. Due to lack of proper words in English, due to lack of proper words of riba in English, some translator riba as usually. अब अरबिक में वर्ड अवेलेबल नहीं था, कुछ ने यूजुअली को ट्रांसलेट रिबा को यूजुअली के साथ ट्रांसलेट कर दिया, ठीक है, यूजुअली को बोल दिया कि रिबा जो है वो यूजुअली है, ऐसा नहीं है. But usually generally means excessive form of increase. Usually means excessive form of increase. While riba implies all form of increase in a loan contract. और रिबा के मीनिंग क्या है? All forms of increase in loan contract. Implies all form of increase in loan contract. When it implies keeping in view of literal meaning, linguistic meaning, and from hadith meaning, all form of increase in a loan contract is called riba. Finally, interest, commercial interest, compound interest, usually they are form of riba. They are form of riba. When they are form of riba, then they are halal, then they are haram. Now, their first argument is interest charged by traditional bank is not mentioned in Quran, is useless. It has no meaning because this is part of riba. Their second argument, practical form of riba, meant what in the period of Holy Prophet was usually that has no meaning. Commercial, compound interest, against their argument about these two types of riba of interest, their arguments are meaningless. So the final argument is that from Islamic economics, all forms of riba include whether they are interest, commercial interest, usually they are haram because they are declared haram in Quran and Sunnah. The most important thing is that Quran and Sunnah, in Quran, riba was declared haram with 4 steps. Finally, Allah Azza wa Jal declared with the final ayah, Allahu al-bay' wa harrama al-riba. Riba is haram. Riba includes all types of interest. Okay, but the next question. that is very relevant to the banking sector. Then the question is that is mostly asked from Muslims, common Muslims. Is there any validity to banking in Islam? When interest is haram, then what is the reality of banking? Is there any validity to banking in Islam? Its answer is very simple and very, very reasonable. In Islam, the first we have to discuss the reality of money, which is deposited in banks. In Islam, money is not a commodity. First, this is the key point. Keep in your mind. Money is not a commodity. Money is not a commodity. But it is for purchasing or selling real goods and services. But it is for purchasing or selling real goods and services. Therefore, Islam, the reason is that Islam promotes economic activities by trade. When we sell or purchase real goods and services by money, then trade will be occurred. Economic activity will be promoted. So Islam supports trade with money, not interest activity by money. So as reported by Allah Almighty permitted trade and prohibited riba. Ahallallahu al-bay'a wa harrama al-riba. No, the second important point is that trade means permissible business. Trade means permissible business because in permissible business, in trade, both parties gain benefits. Buyers and sellers both get benefits. But in loans, in loan-based economic activities, only one party gets benefits. Who is the lender? One party gets benefits at the expense of other party who is the borrower. Getting the point? So, interest-based economic activities, one party gets benefits and the second party get loss. Possibility gets loss. That is the order. So in Islam, there is no no validity to banking Islam. But against banking, it is possible that Islamic economists may develop some other companies which may start collective economic activities in the form of shirka, mudarba, salam, istisna, and I would say that Islamic insurance. So this will be beneficial. So today's lecture contains about the answering the misunderstanding. We discussed the misunderstanding from Western economists and we answered their misunderstandings in depth. Then we discussed the reality of banking. What is the reality of banking? We have discussed. And next one we will discuss that is very important. Why so much emphasis on the provision of interest? Why so much emphasis on the provision of interest in Islam? In other words, economic importance of the provision of interest. First one, I'm just revising the question. Maybe we will discuss in the next lecture. Why so much emphasis on the provision of interest? And economic importance of the provision of interest. In other words, what are the evils of interest? When we promote interest-based economic activities and interest is preserved in any society, then we find the following drawbacks. So these drawbacks can create problems in Islamic society. In any society, not we say Islamic society, because Quran and Sunnah is the religion of humanity. The first one, economic importance of provision of interest. The evils of first evil of interest we get with the comparison of interest and investments. First drawback we discuss with the comparison of interest and investments. In interest-based financial or business activities, investor invests by borrowing from commercial banks, from traditional banks. They borrow, they continue, they expand the level of investment between all kind of investment or a hold by borrowing from traditional banks. Traditional banks make a contract, loan contracts with the specification of interest rate and payments, simple interest or compound interest, all forms of interest are discussed in this contract. For example, they decide 15% interest payments will be paid over a year. For example, 1 lakh, one company invests. Now, over a year, this company have to pay to the bank 15,000 as interest payment. That is the cost of financial loans. That is the cost of investments, financial cost. And what are the benefits against this loan? Possibly, this company may earn 25,000 against 1 lakh. Now, investor will compare benefits and cost. 25,000 are benefits, 15,000 are cost. Now, benefits are greater than cost. He will continue the investment. He will continue the, अब वो investment continue करेगा. क्यों? Benefits cost से ज़्यादा है. He will continue the investment until benefits equal to cost. Benefits equal to cost. जब benefits cost की marginal efficiency of capital equal to interest payment, then he will stop investment. But in Islamic banking, he will continue the investment because interest payments are zero. He will earn just, and he will get benefits from additional capital. And in Islamic economics, Additional benefits from additional capital will be marginal efficiency of capital, will be distributed among shareholders. One shareholder is bank, maybe second holder shareholder is the investor. In case of shirka, we will discuss later in detail this evil of interest. So when investment activities will be held with interest-based backing, then productive activities will be stopped. Their benefits are equal to losses, costs. So this type of investments will not be useful for society. Okay, beta, now this lecture is over. We will continue our question answer section. So you can ask your questions